Hi, I'm Sharon. I'm the Youth Services Consultant for the Vermont Department of Libraries, and it is October 9th, and I know I am delinquent, and I'm very sorry. But here is a collection of new books that I have from publishers, and I think you'll be really excited. I have a ton of picture books and a whole bunch of YA, really exciting stuff. You know, this is the time of year for children's publishing. So let's get started. First, a familiar book, Toys Meet Snow. Let's see if I can get it there. There you go. You probably recognize this series, and this one is just as cute. It's got the glitter snow on the cover, and it's about the toys that have an adventure in the snow. And I don't have to say a ton about this book. You probably know it. You should probably own all of them. And this is going to be a great addition to your winter collection and winter story times. So that's all I have to say. Okay, this book here is really cute. It's called The Wonderful Things You Will Be. This book is more of a one-on-one sharing book. It may not be appropriate for story time. It kind of depends on your group. If you have a small group, maybe. And it's kind of like a love poem to a child, maybe, is the way I would describe it. So it says, when I look at you and you look at me, I wonder what wonderful things you will be. And the art is very sweet, and it says, all about all the different things that you'll do. This is the first time you've ever been you, so I wonder what wonderful things you will do. Parents will really eat this one up. And of course it goes, I know you'll be kind and clever, and the art is really cute and has lots of different kinds of children, which is good, and that you'll discover and that you'll become anybody that you'd like to be. And this big fold out, which I know can be problematic in public libraries, but look at that, it's really cute. And then it wraps up with, and I'll love you no matter what you grow up to be or who you grow up to be. So it's really sweet. It may not be necessary for your library, but if you're looking for a gift, this could be a good one. And if you have a lot of parents or new parents or grandparents who like this one-on-one kind of stuff, it could be a good fit for your library. Next, Meg Medina, we love her. This is an incredibly sweet story. It's called Mango, Abuela Me, and it's about a grandmother who moves in with family. The problem is that grandma doesn't speak very much English, and the little girl doesn't speak very much Spanish. So they have to figure out how to communicate, and at first it's very, very hard. And so the little girl asks her mother, what do I do? And she says, you remember there was a little girl in your class who didn't speak English, and you guys helped her, and eventually you were able to talk? And so she starts talking to her grandmother, and they start sharing some simple vocabulary words while they're cooking, which is so sweet, and a huge part of the Mexican culture. And then she plays this little game where she puts labels on everything and starts teaching her grandmother English, and of course her grandmother teaches her Spanish. And then one day she buys a parrot for her grandmother because her grandmother had reminisced about a parrot who lived in the mango tree outside her house, and so she found this parrot. And of course, parrots like to talk, and so they start teaching the parrot to learn English and Spanish, and so then at the end they're able to communicate. It's incredibly sweet. This is a really, really good story. You don't need to know Spanish to read it. It's about the overcoming the boundaries of communication, which is just wonderful, and the pictures I just think are really sweet. I think it's a good sharing book. All right, this book, Fire Engine Number 9, is just, I know you have kids out there who are just into this zoom-in kind of book. Not a lot of words here. It's kind of like one big onomatopoeia. So there's pictures of fire trucks, which what kid doesn't love that? And here comes the onomatopoeia. Alert, bark, bark, fire. I think the young kids in your library are going to love it. It turns up and down sometimes, so this is the fireman's pole, and the art is really bright and fabulous. And there's a dog. The whole book is like this. So there's no actual sentences, but they go and they say some people, and, you know, it's pretty detailed. And I think the young kids in your library are just going to love it. See? And then, let me see where it goes at the end. Oh, right, and then they have a party and thank them for saving the town, which is really cute. So there's a little bit of a story, but mostly it's, you know, it's just fun description. And the end pages are really fun too. So this is a great addition if you're looking for more truck books, fire truck books for your kids. This is probably like right in between your board books and your picture books section. And the kids are just going to love it. I think it's going to be great. And you can have a lot of fun reading it in story time. All right, Kevin Henkes. How much do we love Kevin Henkes? You have to buy this book. It's beautiful. It's really quiet. And it's basically the story of some toys on a windowsill. And they're waiting. And as they're waiting, things happen. So, you know, the moon comes up and it starts to snow. And there's a kite. Sometimes some of them go away, sometimes they slept, sometimes new things appeared. One time a visitor came and then left and then never returned, which was kind of sad. So they watch all the seasons out the window, and the artwork is gorgeous. See all the different seasons. And as they're waiting through all the seasons, one day a cat with patches joins them. Intrigue. And it says she didn't seem to be waiting for anything in particular. Oh, but she was. I think the kids are going to get a hoot out of this. It's just so soft and quiet and adorable. And, you know, nothing really happens. But it's so sweet. And, of course, we're always a fan of Kevin Henkes, right? So I think it's a kind of a no-brainer. But I had to show it to you. All right, this book is adorable. Black Cat, White Cat. As you know by now, I love cats, so I read all cat books. But this cat book is really cute. It's about two cats. The first one is Black Cat, and he's completely black, and he only goes out in the daytime. And this is White Cat. White Cat is completely white, and White Cat only goes out at night. And so the two of them meet each other, and they share their experience. But of course, one of them was only out in the day and one was only out at night, so they have completely different views of the world. What are we going to do? And so they decide to share their experiences. And the art is just so fun because he uses a lot of negative space, which I just think is great. And so they discover the day and the night, respectively, and they talk about how wonderful it is. And it's just the story of these two friends, you know. And so they see the stars and the fireflies and the birds and the bumblebees, and they become best friends. It's just really sweet. It's, of course, a book of opposites, but I think the art is really beautiful, and it's a cute little friendship story. And it's about cats. How can you go wrong? Okay. This book here, I have mixed feelings about this book. I want to show it to you because I think, especially in Vermont, it's important to have these multicultural type books. It's a teensy bit preachy. But, you know, it could work. It kind of depends on your community. So basically, it's just kind of an homage to how we all come in different packages. And all our skin is different. And so it's like, they call it Bouquets of Babies or Bouquets of People. And the art is great, lots of different kinds of people. And it says, it's terrific to have skin. It keeps the insides out, the insides in, outsides out, and the insides in. And that's a cute picture because, you know, the kids will want to do that. And, you know, you keep growing, and when you fall, you get a scab, and you heal. Sometimes you have freckles or dimples or birthmarks. But you see, it's got a little preachy. And then, you know, they had this adorable family. I think that this character is purposely kind of androgynous, so it could be a man, it could be a woman. So depending on your community or who's reading it, they could read it either way. But it's an adorable family. And so, you know, different fingers, different hands. And we all have different fingerprints. And what a wonderful world and bouquets of people. So, I mean, there's not a lot going on here. Not a lot of plot. There actually is no plot at all. It's just about kind of diversity. If you have need of more diversity books in your children's book collection, your picture book collection, this could be a good selection. But if, you know, you don't need this kind of thing, totally skippable. All right, next, Bear and Duck. This book is so cute. I love this. It's another friendship book. So this is about a bear who is tired of being a bear. Of course he is. He's tired of sleeping all winter. He was hot all summer, and he's sick of the angry bees. I would totally be too, right? Yeah, absolutely. And he wants the bees to leave him alone, and he's just harumping. And then he sees a family of ducks, and he thinks, I could be a duck. Only, there are a lot of books written this way, you know, where an animal wants to be another animal, and it always ends up kind of silly and funny, and he goes back. This one goes a little in a different direction. So he tries to be a duck, and they say, stop, you don't belong here. He's a little confused. And he says, but please, I don't want to be a bear anymore. Can you please teach me how to be a duck? And Duck says, okay, I can help you. And he has a book, How to Become a Perfect Duck. And so he first teaches them how to build a nest. And then he teaches them how to swim. And then he teaches them how to fly, which of course doesn't go very well. And it wasn't going very well, but he got scared, and he climbed a tree. And when he climbed the tree, you see where this is going, right? Boing! And he starts flying. So he's going pretty well being a duck. And then, of course, he falls down, and he decides that climbing might be better. I agree with that. But then Duck looks at him and is like, hey, that looks like pretty fun. And so he climbs on his back, and he climbs up there too, and they become best friends. So this story, I just like the way it ends. Where, see, he's so cute. You know, they kind of decide to do things together instead of, there's no like a real identity crisis. It's more of, you have some fun and I have some fun too, and let's have fun together. It's a really, really sweet book. I highly recommend it. It could be really good for story time. I think the kids will be big crap out of the bear trying to climb the tree and fly. Oh, okay, A Dog Wearing Shoes. This book is really cute, and I love the art. It's black and white with splashes of yellow, which is just so fun. And it's about a lost dog and a little girl and her mom who find this dog who's wearing yellow shoes. What are we going to do? She must belong to somebody. And so they take the dog home, and they become fast friends. And she's wondering, is he missing his family? See, he's very upset. This might not be an ideal story time book because the art is kind of small and sketchy. Not sketchy, weird, sketchy, like loose lines. So it might be hard to see. So they go to the park, and there were dogs everywhere, and they lose the dog in the park. Let's see, the dog in the park. The art is really cute. She loses the dog in the park, and she gets really worried, and all she finds is the shoe. It's like Cinderella. And so she tries to find her, And she goes to the shelter, and there he is in the cage. And so she takes him back. And then she puts up signs everywhere saying, "Found a dog wearing shoes. Is he yours?" And of course the owner comes and takes her dog. I'm very excited. And of course there is a moment here where the kids are going to be sad because she has to give up the dog with the shoes. Right? But she goes back to the animal shelter and gets her own dog. And her own dog is hilarious. And then the best part of this book, I think, is that there's information at the end about how to adopt a dog. And I love the fact that they talk about the Humane Society and the shelter and what to do if you find a lost dog. And that, a lost dog might actually belong to someone. It's tough for little kids to understand, but I think it's important. I think it's a sweet story. Plus, dogs, shoes, cute. Alright, this is a cute book. It's a tall tale, and it's about this guy. I've never heard this tale before. I don't know if it's a well-known one or not, but it's about this guy, Jackrabbit McCabe, and the Electric Telegraph. Jackrabbit McCabe has legs that are really, really long, and so he runs really, really fast. So naturally, the book is very, very big. So there he is with his long, long legs. And he's very, very fast. He's the fastest kid in the whole town, and he is the messenger. But one day the telegraph comes, and they think that it's going to be even faster, and that's going to put this kid out of a job. And so they decide to have a contest, because the town says, we don't need the telegraph, because we have, the Jackrabbit McCabe to deliver all our messages. He's way faster. So they have a contest to see who's going to be faster, and they give the telegram to two people, one who sends the message over the telegram, and then Jackrabbit McCabe, who's going to run it to see who's faster. And of course the telegram wins. Of course it does. And Jackrabbit McCabe is very, very sad. So he lost, and now he's sad. Oh, what is he going to do? I just think the kids are going to love this. Like the fact that he's kind of oversized Paul Bunyan kind of character. And then at the end, they decide to hire him as a telegraph operator because he's so fast with his feet, they figure he'll be really fast with his fingers. But of course, they have to get him a special desk so he can put out his long, long legs. It's pretty cute. And then he also delivered newspapers at night. The fun part about, no, not the fun, some fun part about this book, extra, is there's Morse code keys at the end, which I think the kids will love. So if you are a school librarian, or if you are just looking for activities, this could be really fun. You could put together some secret messages and have the kids run them around, have some contests. I think they would really like this. This is a really cute story. I'm not sure about the historical value, but I think the tall tale aspect is really, really fun. All right, I love this book, Rappy the Raptor, because if you've met me in person, I love to read these books out loud, and I think they're hysterical, so I'm going to read some of this to you because I think it's really, really funny. I subjected my assistant Aiden to this. Poor guy. Are you ready? I'm Rappy the Raptor, and I'd like to say, I may not talk in the usual way. I'm rhyming and rapping all of the time. I'm talking when I'm walking, and I'm rhyming when I climb. I'm rapping at my school, I'm rapping with my peeps. Sometimes they even tell me I'm rapping in my sleep. And how did it happen that I started rapping? Well, here's my story in all its glory. So you have to be really animated when you read this. Obviously, I was born in a tree back in Memphis, Tennessee. My mommy, that's Mammy, and my dad, that's Pappy. Took one look at me and got so happy. So the whole story goes like this. And it's all this, quick rapping rhyme. And he's this, crazy animal, and it's about his story and how, he came out rapping. And it says, I'm Rappy the Raptor, and I like to say, I mean, I talk in the usual way. I'm rhyming and rapping all the time. I'm rapping when I'm riding. I'm rapping when I climb. And basically, he's just a cute kid who raps all the time. So this is a perfect storytime book. Not a lot to it, but the kids are going to love it. It's Dan Gutman, of course. They're going to love it. Really good, real loud, and kids who like dinosaurs are just going to fall in love with this. This is one of those books I would put in my permanent storybook collection. But I am a little crazy. This book is a little more serious. It's adorable, though. This book you're going to have to hand sell. It's called The Marvelous Cornelius. It's based on a true story, and it's about Hurricane Katrina. You know, we just passed the 10-year anniversary, so we have tons of books coming out, and this is a really good one. And if you are a school librarian, this could be a really good way to introduce the idea of, you know, communities coming together and catastrophe and the aftermath to a really young group of kids, because this is it's a sweet story, and like I said, it's based on a true story, which is wonderful, and it's about this man named Cornelius, and he was a trash collector, and he knew everyone in town, and he sang and he danced and he did tricks with the bags. He really did, and the whole community just adored him, and he would do these fabulous calls, hooty-hoo, to the whole community, and everyone knew him. But of course, when Katrina hit, you know, the amount of trash was pretty serious. They described it as a gumbo of mush and mud, which is, I think, just such a great description. And how there's a mountain of trash, and there's Cornelius feeling a little discouraged. And so the whole community got together and helped him out. So it's a really cute story. I think it's a good soft introduction into communities, but also the aftermath of a hurricane. This, like I said, is based on a true story. Cornelius, I think, passed away right after Katrina, so he didn't get to know that he was famous. But it is really, really cute, and I highly recommend it. I think kids who like tales, and if you're in a school library, this is an absolute must. I think it's a really, really wonderful story. And I think you could read it even to the older kids who know a little bit more. It's just, and they're going to want to sing along. Of course they are. All right, next, this book, The Little Book of Big Fears. This book cracks me up. Not exactly a read aloud, but maybe it is. I don't know. Basically what it does is it goes through every letter of the alphabet, and it has a kid who's afraid of something. And some of them are silly and some of them are funny. So Claire recoiled from legumes. She's afraid of the beans. And of course the beans are chasing her on the table, which is going to crack the kids up. Drew hid from raccoons, which is legit. Henry is petrified of math. Ingrid took cover from birds, right? Someone else have these fears. And Len, who eyed his replacement, is afraid of his little brother. So some of these are pretty serious. Quinn is horrified by needles. You and me both, Quinn. So this could be a good book. It could be a decent read aloud, but it's also something for kids and parents to share if they have a lot of fears. And so Z is for Zine, who's afraid of folks big and tall. I understand. And then this is the best part here. Everyone has fears, some big, some small. It's normal to get scared sometimes. It happens to us all. But learn from the missing letters. To them you must look. They were gutsy and brave, and so not in this book. And I'm gonna solve the puzzle for you. It took me a couple of minutes to figure it out. The kids will have fun solving it though. So these letters, the letters that spell out gutsy and brave, are not in the book. So it skips the letter A and B and starts right at C, and then it goes D and skips E. So the kids will have a good time trying to figure that out. But this is a decent book. I think it's a cute little share. And, you know, anxiety is something that hasn't been addressed in children's literature until very recently. This book is adorable. Use your imagination. This is kind of like a meta tale. It's kind of Little Red Riding Hood-ish. So it's about Rabbit, and he was bored one day, which is always dangerous, right? So a wolf finds him. "Excuse me, may I help?" said the wolf. "Well, baby, I'm bored." "Well, don't we write a story? Why don't we write a story? I'm a librarian. You know, librarians know a lot about stories. It's so true. And so they start telling the story together. And, of course, Wolf has an ulterior motive. And he says, you know, what big ears you have, all the better for listening to stories with. What big eyes you have, all the better for reading. And he says, where do you start? Use your imagination. So they start the story once upon a time. And of course, you know where the wolf wants this to go. And the rabbit has some big ideas. Space rockets, big explosions, and bananas. Lots of bananas. And Wolf says, I don't think so. He said, I want something bigger. So he dreams up an elephant. That's not exactly where Wolf thought that was going. And so then they need a hero. And so the rabbit decides that he wants to be a spaceman. And Wolf's like, oh, I don't think you need a costume. And he's like, what's going to happen? We're going to go into a forest. Yeah, we've got a hero. And he's like, what's the story going to happen? And then, you know, the wolf, he's trying to eat him. I hate to break it to you. But the thing is he's like, I don't like this story at all, Panted Rabbit. He's being chased. And then he's like, I don't think so. I'm the hero. I'm going to use my imagination. The kids are going to eat this up. Completely eat this up because the rabbit becomes the hero of the story, even though the wolf is trying to eat him. And here's the big page. So he imagines a spaceship and he blasts off. And that was a great idea. And the wolf goes away. So it's silly, but I think it's really great, and I think you could do a lot of programming around this about writing your own story and maybe writing together and taking stories in unexpected places. So I really, really recommend this one. Okay, that is all I have for picture books. So let's go to some... Oh, I have a poetry book for you. It's a good thing you can't see my floor because it's littered with books. All right, I have a poetry book for you. This is called Jump Back Paul. It got really good reviews. However, I have mixed feelings about poetry books like this. This is a poetry biography of Paul Laurence Dunbar, who's kind of not a well-known poet. Here's the thing. It got wonderful reviews. It's very well done. It's a black and white, though, which could be kind of hard. I'm not really sure what age group this could be for. But so it's a biography, and there's poems in it and everything. It's a 19th century poet, and he wrote in dialect. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of appeal. If you have use for more poetry books and you maybe are doing a poetry unit, this could be a good one to look at. If you want, I'm happy to let you borrow it. But I'm not sure that it's necessary. But I wanted to bring it up because it got rave reviews. And sometimes you never know. And sometimes people need poetry books. You never know. All right, let's move on to some chapter books. There's a lot of chapter books coming out right now. Some good, some great. Let's start with this one, Forget You Not Summer. This looks like kind of a breezy book. It's about these three sisters, Marigold, Zinnia, and Lily, flowers, Silver, and they live in LA, and their parents are in the movie business. And the oldest one is 12, and she's an aspiring actress. And is always on her cell phone. But what happens is the parents announce they're going to be out of town, so they send them to Cape Cod to live with their aunt. The problem is that there's no cell phone reception, there's no television, there's nothing for them to do, and what's going to happen to the aspiring actress? But then they find that this famous director is going to be in town, and so they put on this community theater musical. They read a play and everything. It got pretty decent reviews. I hate the cover. It looks really cheesy. It looks a little fluffy, but I like the idea of the creating of a play and putting it on together and putting it on with the community. And also the idea of, having to give up technology for a while. Not a bad idea. So it could be good if you have kids who are into that. I have something on my arm. There you go. I'm a mess. Next, Frank Cottrell Boyce has come up with a new one, The Astounding Brothy Boy. It got mixed reviews, but if you have Boyce fans in your library, this one might be a good one to check out. It's an interesting plot. So it's about this kid named Rory who gets picked on in class, and his nemesis, his name is Tommy Lee, and they go on a field trip, but he gets sick, and both boys turn green and end up in the hospital, and they're trying to figure out what's wrong with them, and the boys, they decide they have superpowers, that maybe they've been bitten by a radioactive spider or something, and they actually become friends and have adventures while they're trying to escape from the hospital. And of course, they call themselves The Astounding Brothy Boy. So it looks like an interesting adventure. If this author is popular in your library, then this could be a good addition. Like I said, it got mixed reviews, so it may not be the most stellar book ever, but the title is pretty awesome. All right, next. This book looks awesome. It's called Night on Fire, and it's about a kid named Billy. He's 13, and he lives in Alabama, I think, and during segregation. And he is very anti-segregation. He's best friends with a black boy, and he doesn't understand why everybody is separated and why, there are colored signs everywhere, and he's really against this. However, this is the time of the Freedom Riders, and they are passing through his town and, talking about anti-segregation. And Billy, this kid, is really shocked because his town breaks out in violence and is very anti the Freedom Riders, and they want to keep their town segregated. And so Billy has to decide, he's only 13, whether he is going to try to fight for equal rights like the Freedom Riders, or whether he's going to keep quiet and try to stay out of the fray. This looks like a really interesting book. It got wonderful reviews, and I love this time period for this age, this middle school kind of age. I think it could be a really good read. All right, I'm sure you all have heard of this one. Louis Sachar has a new book out, Fuzzy Mud. This one got kind of lukewarm reviews, but you're going to need to buy it because, it's Louis Sachar. It's a slim novel. The plot is a little strange, but it's got that same adventure feel as normal. So it's about these kids, Tamaya and Marshall, and they walk through the woods on the way to and from school to avoid the bully. His name is Chad. And one day, they're trying to avoid Chad, and Chad, they get into a fight, and they start mud flinging, literally. And it turns out that this mud is some sort of government conspiracy, and it's been bioengineered, and it could kill people. And I read the review of this book, and it said that it interweaves the current story of the kids plus the future of the Senate committee trying to explain what happened to the world and talking about why they created this. And then I think some more future stuff. So it's a little complicated, and it sounds like quite an adventure. A little government conspiracy, a little bioengineering, a little bit of future, speculative fiction thrown in there. It got kind of lukewarm reviews, but, I'll wait till here to see what the kids think about it. They'll definitely start asking for it, so you should know. Next, Diana, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Peterfreund. She wrote a lot of YA novels, and this book is a middle grade novel, and it's about a kid who, her name is Jillian, and her father is a conspiracy theorist. And then one day she finds a missing page from somebody's diary in her father's mess of stuff, and she has to save the world by going into this bunker and trying to to uncover some secrets. It looks like one of those adventure stories. There's an underground city, there's mystery, there's science fiction. Supposedly there's a shocking twist. If you have kids in your I can't speak today. If you have kids who are in like 5th and 6th grade who are looking for this kind of adventure, this could be a good one. It looks like it's probably going to have a sequel, and it's just going to be straight out adventure from start to finish. This one, I'm intrigued by this one. This is the beginning of a new series, and it's called The Trouble with Ants, and it's about a kid who is obsessed with ants, and I'm wondering if the obsession rises to the level of maybe being on the spectrum. I'm not sure, but this kid is obsessed with ants, and she writes a diary, and she hopes to be published in a scientific journal one day, and she's very excited about it. But of course, all her friends and her peers are like, what are you talking about, ants? We want to talk about kittens and boys. And so she is on a mission to try to convince all of her friends that ants are the best. And there's a persuasive speech contest going on, and she is hell-bent to teach them about ants. Now, the reason this is intriguing to me, I love these kind of girls in science books, kind of like Project Mulberry, books where the nerdy girl, owns it. And also, I like the idea, it's a slim novel, it's young, and I like the idea of kind of the outcast changing the world. It's kind of a Frindle kind of esque book. So that's why I'm drawn to this one. All right, the rest of the books I have are kind of older, so if you don't like older books, you can stop here. The first one is one that you probably already heard of, but if you haven't, you definitely should order it. Patrick Ness has a brand new one. He, of course, is brilliant. This book, The Rest of Us Just Live Here. I've heard it's hilarious. It's supposed to poke fun at all of the weird, speculative, fantasy, cuckoo-ness that we all are reading right now in YA fiction. And it's basically, what if you aren't the chosen one? What if everyone else is a zombie hunter and a ghost fighter and is being worshipped by mountain lions, but your big problem is finding a date to the prom? And so, this is his life. So it sounds hysterical. Patrick Ness, of course, is brilliant. This has got rave reviews, and some of the folks on the GMBA committee already love it. So I highly recommend this one. I think it'll be a good addition, and we can always use more humor on the YA shelves, right? Let's see. This one is a graphic novel. I'm not a big fan of the cover. I don't think the kids are going to pick it up, but it got rave reviews, and it looks really interesting. And the art looks very approachable, kind of like a grown-up Telgemeier or a grown-up Roller Girl. And it's about a girl who is at a Christian camp. She goes there every summer. She's a very conservative family, but she falls in love with her camp counselor, who's another girl. And it kind of explodes from there. And the camp isn't, of course, supportive, and the girls have to figure out what they're going to do about it. So it looks like a really sweet coming-of-age book, maybe middle school, early high school, but written in the graphic format. It's going to be very accessible. If you have graphic novel readers in your library, this one could be a good one. All right, this book looks weird and awesome. It's called Wizard Radio. And I think this is one of those books that is trying to explore how to be non-binary, and it's placed it in kind of a science fiction scenario. So in this is in the future, and it's a kid named Cavalli who just doesn't fit in. Is kind of not really a boy, not really a girl, was found abandoned, wrapped in a t-shirt with a lizard on the front. So they're not sure, like, is she part alien lizard, part human? Not really sure. Her family is kind of this hippie, whatever, new age. They're totally fine with being fluid. But this society is not. Everything is binary. You are one or the other. And she has to go to this place called Crop Camp, where everything is regulated to death. And now all of a sudden, she or he has to figure out where they fit in all of these categories. And then, of course, there's all this crazy stuff going on in the camp as well, disappearing and government conspiracy. And then also she or he Cavalli can listen to lizard radio. She can meditate and hear things that other people can't hear. So this looks really bizarre, but I think it could be a really good book. Well, if your kids like science fiction and kind of mystery weirdness, but also kids who are exploring kind of the non-binary existence in sexuality, gender identity, and trying to figure out where they fit in. I think this could be a good book for them to read. And of course, putting it in a science fiction or fantasy setting makes it a little bit less frightening, a little more approachable, especially for the younger kids. All right, this book, I cannot wait to read this. I love Margot Robb. Margot Robb writes grief like nobody else. She wrote, what was that other story she wrote? Cures for a Heartbreak, which I adore. This book is also about grief. It's about a girl named Eva whose father died, and she's 16, and she's been reading romance novels and is trying to console herself. And then she starts tutoring Will, who she has a big crush on, and she finds out that Will has also lost somebody, and they fall in love. But of course, then Will has to move to California, and she has to decide what to do. So she decides to go on a road trip and go with him. So there's some sort of game show aspect, because they have to concoct a reason for her to go, and they have a big adventure across the country. But of course, it's wrapped in the whole, how do you overcome this awful grief of losing a loved one? And I guarantee it's going to be fabulous. It got rave reviews, and like I said, I love her. So if you have high school kids in your library, you have a good YA section, this is one to buy. Absolutely. Now, this book I can't wait to read. I love historical fiction, and I think this one's going to be wonderful. This book has been compared to Little Women, which that's some high praise right there. I haven't read it yet, but I have high hopes. It's called The Hired Girl, and it's written in a diary format, and it's about a 14-year-old girl who is a maid. She's hired for cleaning and cooking, and it's summer of 1911, and she has big dreams. And so basically, it seems like kind of a quiet book, but from everything I've read, it's extremely descriptive, which is why I'm intrigued. So it sounds like it's kind of that Victorian style where everything's going to be really, really, really well described. And of course, she does a lot of washing, so there's a lot of talk about clothing and how they do things. And of course, she has dreams of doing other things. So it looks really wonderful. Quiet, though. This one might go out more with your adults than your teens, depending on your community. All right, finally, a book that talks about bisexuality. They don't really use the word, but this is something, we've been kind of playing with playing with the idea in YA literature of non-binary gender identity, but for some reason the idea of non-binary sexual identity is just not talked about, and this is one of the first ones I've seen. It got really good reviews. It's about a boy named Will who got drunk and made out with his best friend, but doesn't think he's gay, not sure, doesn't really want to talk about it, then falls in love with a girl, and is dating a girl, and does that make him gay? But he kissed a boy, and what does it mean? And then at the same time, his parents are getting divorced, and so he's bouncing back and forth between his mom and his dad, and so that parallels the whole idea of you don't belong in either place. I think this could be a really good book to add to your LGBT collections, and I can't wait to read it. It looks promising. Here's another one that looks really promising. This is called One, and this is a topic I have never seen addressed in YA fiction. This is about conjoined twins. Fascinating, and I love the cover. Beautiful. So this is about two sisters, Grace and Tippy, and they're conjoined twins, and they're 16. So they've defied the odds. And if you are a documentary junkie like I am, you know that there is a real case out there of girls, I think they're in their 20s now, who are conjoined. But this story, I think what's going to happen, they kind of allude to it. I haven't seen any plot spoilers, but it sounds like they might medically need to be separated, and the idea of that is just terrifying to them because they belong together. So this looks like a really interesting book. Like I said, something that's never been covered in YA literature before, and the reviews were wonderful. So I think this is a good addition to the collections. All right, are you ready for one more? 13 Days of Midnight. I don't like the title because it reminds me of that other book by Patrick Carman, which is called 13 Days to Midnight, I think. I don't know, but this looks creepy. It's a ghost story, and it's almost Halloween, so you might need a ghost story. And if you have horror fans, this one might be a good purchase. I don't know about you, but I'm sick of vampires and dystopia. Give me a good old-fashioned ghost story. This one looks like it could be good for fans of Anna Dressed in Blood, which I adored too. So this is about a kid. His name is Luke, and his father was, why can't I think of the word, an exorcist. And he has inherited his father dies, and he inherits all his dad's stuff, but he has no clue how to use it. And now there is a ghost called the Host that's possessed his mother, has invaded the house, and he has to get rid of them. Now it's Halloween, naturally, and he has all this stuff from his father, but he doesn't know what to do with them. And so now he has to figure it out, and he has till midnight to figure it out, or bad things will happen. This looks scary and wonderful, and I think it's a perfect way to end this little video because it's October. And who doesn't need another Halloween book? So that's all I got for you today. I think that's enough. I promise I will have another one this month with more books. Books are being published every day, and I'm trying to read them as fast as I can. Here's my contact information. If you have comments, questions, things that you think I should be reading, definitely let me know. Also, I run both the Canfield Fisher and the GMVA Book Awards. If there are books you think we should be considering for this year's awards, definitely drop me a line. I'll be happy to talk to you. I also have another video series of what is Sharon reading, with books that novels that I've actually read and review for you, and I go through good, bad, and the ugly, everything I've read. I haven't done the one for this month yet, but I will soon. It's in the same YouTube channel, or you can always go to libraries.vermont.gov, and if you click on Services for Children and then Children and Teen, there's a link in there for the toolkit for children's librarians. Click on that, and everything you could possibly need is right there. So I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you very soon.